Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of the Hustle Huddle. On today's episode, of course, we'll be breaking down what happened in our weeks, and then we'll go more in depth on some life-changing experiences that me and Christian have ran into, talking about a little bit of sales, and then end it with some finances. And, of course, at the end of the show, we'll have our 5-minute fitness tip, so stay tuned.
What's good? Welcome back to another episode of the Hustle Huddle. Joined here with my co-host.
Yo, Sean Fredericks.
Oh, I like that. And me here, Christian Roddy. And we're also being produced by the one, the only.
The man behind the mirror.
What's good?
The Beard.
I don't like that phrase, the man behind the mirror.
The beard.
Yeah.
That just sounds like you're a fucking serial killer. The man behind the curtain. Here we go.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, no,
that's still like just so like serial killer.
Yeah, because when I was growing up, I was always terrified of like the shower curtain.
I'd just be going in there, swinging off rip.
Yeah, that's a real fear.
I'm telling you.
Honestly,
the
the last house I lived in for a couple of years had like just the clear glass, and I'm not gonna lie to you, that let go a lot of anxiety.
100%. I got the clear glass now. I got no anxiety. I still pull it back when I'm taking a shit. I'm just, what's going on behind there?
So, oh man, how's your week been? What's going on?
We started with my week last week, so how's your week going?
Come on now.
Hit the reverse card on you.
So, week's good. It's really good. I've been super tired, but I've been on my workouts. It's been really nice. So, super consistent. I actually had to force myself to take a rest day yesterday because I just felt pretty drained. But it was a good sense of like, this is the moment that we kind of talk about. It's like, hey, those days you kind of earned this rest day. Like, these workouts have been successful and you feel it. And like, even the strength and energy and all the days before that were really good. So, it was like 5 back-to-back days. So, it was nice.
Good. Yeah, nice.
I think that's the biggest thing. I was just really focusing on me this week after last week talking about being stuck in ruts. I think I just dialed into a couple of things that kind of like get me pumped up. One, workouts. Another reason for workouts. Like, you shouldn't always be doing it to chase like little goals like this, but I have a wedding coming up in 2 weeks that I'm going to.
Oh, yeah.
So, I just got to look good in that suit.
Goals.
So, but outside of that, also just been kind of doing a lot of research and some of the stuff that we're looking to launch here in like the next couple months and whatnot, and just trying to really be over prepared.
Yeah.
And also listening to like other podcasts. I've listened to like 3 new podcasts and they're in like categories and genres that I would never listen to. But I'm like, well, let me see what everybody else is doing. And there's a couple of like other females, and I'm like, dude, the way they talk, I'm like, I gotta mirror that.
I gotta mirror that. Why?
Well, because I feel like when we get on here, like even probably today, like we get on and we're like pretty excited.
Yeah.
And so you just start rambling and you're like, oh, get off the crack, like slow down.
Relax a little bit. I feel like we do a good job.
We do. It's when I listen to us and like back, which I don't know if you do, but Karen wants to smack the shit out of me while I'm on the couch because she'll just hear the same part of the podcast like 5 times because I replay it. Yeah. So me in the beginning of an episode and then me at the end of the episode, I feel like my speed is different because like I get accustomed to like
at the beginning, and then at the end you're just like, this is topic A, B, and C.
Yes.
That makes sense. I get it.
That's my week. So I feel like it was actually really productive.
Nice. That's super dope.
What about you?
It was cool. I had a VA appointment the other day, so I had to go to medical, do all that good stuff. Trying to think of what else. Oh, I finally got to go see about getting my exhaust tips on. I got my rear diffuser back, so that's all good. Other than that, it's been pretty relaxed. I've just been trying to honestly stay consistent with my workouts too. I feel like I've fallen off maybe the last like week. I don't know why. Just being out of pure like laziness, I guess it is. And I just need to, like, after last week's episode, it was just more like realizing that I do need to just get on it and not be like, oh, you know what, I'll take the rest day. Because I try to have like only like 1 to 2 rest days a week, but like last week I had 3, so it's like those kind of like beat me up, and I'm like, dang, I need to get back onto the routine. Even if it is 3, like 3 is not a bad thing. Like having 3 rest days isn't bad. It's just I rather for my mental health and like how I feel, I think I just do better with like 1 to 2 rest days. Oh, yeah, and by the way, we don't have the cushions on this, so if it sounds way more crisper and you hear a lot more fucking shit,
Yeah, we're test running this. We want to kind of see how the audio comes through. That's one of the biggest things I also took away from listening to some of these other podcasts. And it's like, it's night and day difference when you listen to a podcast where people almost don't care about their audio. They're just like trying to launch a podcast, which respect to that. Yeah. But then other people maybe take into consideration of what, like if you're only an audio listener, like you're not on our YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, you don't see us, and so this is your only form of the information that you're getting. Like, it's important. This is like literally the podcast.
Yeah.
So if you hear anything, that's what it is. But if it sounds great too, then let us know. We'll keep it running with these type of mics.
But yeah, other than that, it was great. I can't complain about the week. I think it was I still got a lot of stuff done. Like, it was very productive. I just felt I needed my workouts to be a little bit more dialed in. But overall, I mean, it was good to go.
Sounds like you got fans in the stands behind you.
Oh, yeah, I do. You didn't know we're in an arcade right now. If you didn't know.
Damn.
The most automated applauses and shit going on, so enjoy it.
The beard, our producer actually just soundbited those in. Those are
he's just over here hitting the button on the little pad.
But honestly, in different weeks are going to require different rest days. Like, depending on the stress stimulus that you have in your life, different weeks are going to be a little bit more stressful. So, like, if you got a huge project going on at work, like, that's a form of stress. Exercise is stress. So it's okay to acknowledge some weeks you need more rest days. Some weeks you need less rest days.
Yeah, 100%.
My big thing right now is just like trying to connect as many days in a row of exercise days.
Yeah.
And then when my body kind of tells me, like, hey, it's time to rest.
Time to take a rest.
Listen. Like, not trying to overdo it.
That's good, though. I mean, it's always good to, like, listen to your body. And a lot of people don't listen to their body, and that's how they end up getting injured.
Facts.
Or they just end up falling out of routine. So that's all it is. But
outside of that, anything else going on?
No, that was it.
Looking forward to anything?
3-day weekend this week.
Hey, Memorial Day.
Memorial Day weekend, so that's going to be good.
You're going to hate me, but thank you for your service, sir.
I'm out here. I'll shake your hand right now, sir. But for real, though, honestly, definitely lost some homies. So Memorial Day is a great day to, like, just reflect and be thankful about, like, everything that we have in this great, like, country that we're in. And a lot of people don't like America, or, like, they don't like they think we're, like, pieces of shit, but, like, really realistically, like, we're in, like, the greatest country on earth, like one of the greatest countries on earth. And it's like we have the freedom to do a podcast. We have the freedom to play pool with the homies and go out and have lunch and go to dinner with all that because of the people that lost their lives. So yeah, Memorial Day, make sure you remember. Other than that, let's get into the main meat and potatoes of the podcast. Why everybody's actually here to listen. They don't care about our weeks, damn it.
No, sir. No, sir. So, actually, since we were talking about your service, and I think that's kind of a good segue into what we were going to be talking about. It's kind of like big moments in your life that kind of maybe life-changing experiences. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you've probably had some before the military, in the military, and out, but I thought that was just kind of a good way to open it. And obviously, there's pivotal moments in everyone's life that kind of shape who you are, and that's like a big thing if you want to talk about nature versus nurture. Like, we all kind of have personalities, and then, like, our parents kind of bring us up, but a lot of things is, like, the person you are is the adversity you go through, challenges you face, and kind of the environments you get put in, and kind of how you grow in those. Yeah. I think it'd be cool if we can break down maybe a couple things that have brought you to the point that you're at now.
No, yeah. I mean, I think the biggest one that was, like, so helpful for me was actually going overseas and getting away from the United States and getting away from like where I'm from, just because, like, so right when you get into the military, you go to boot camp, and then, like, right after boot camp you go to, like, your MOS school, and then you go to, like, combat action training. So you go through all this, and then at the end it's like, hey, so, like, you have like your number 1 pick, your number 2 pick, and then your number 3 pick. So you can either go overseas, West Coast, East Coast. And what's crazy is a lot of people will pick, like, the closest coast to them, just so they can stay closer to home. And it's like, I understand, like, yeah, I get you want to be close to home, but I don't know. For me, it was just like, yo, like, give me the furthest away from home. Like, I want to go away from home. So, like, I think, like, my number 1 pick was going overseas, and then it was West Coast and then East Coast. So, like, that was my 3 picks. It was like, yeah, last resort, I want to be back on the East. Oh, no, it was West Coast. I was overseas, East Coast, West Coast. And I was like, yeah, last resort, I don't want to be at home. So I was like, send me overseas. So I think that was like one of the biggest like pivotal points in my life, was just because going overseas, I was just away from everything that I was like used to, and like away from like friends, family, and like just everything that I was in, like that I was accustomed to, because I was in Japan for 2 years. So it's like I wasn't even like in the United States. So, and taking that time to actually like figure out who I was as a person, and like figure out like what I wanted to do, and like actually like live my life. That was definitely a pivotal point, just because I had to figure out like especially coming back, like it was like cool, like I got to figure out how I'm going to get a car. I got to figure out how to get a new phone. I got to figure out like insurance and all that. Like this was like all like me just trying to figure out life at the time. And like, I feel like like we don't learn a lot in school about life. So that was like a great learning experience on my own. Just being able to actually like just do it myself, and probably like learn from experience. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was a big one. Getting out of the military was another big one, because again, like all I know for like the last 4 or 5 years was being in the military.
Yeah.
And like organization and discipline and like everything. Like I was eating when I was getting told to eat. I was sleeping when I was getting told to sleep, like shit like that. So it's like dressing a certain way, looking a certain way. So like getting out of the military and like learning how to be like a normal person was a big part of my life. And like learning how to do like job interviews, learning how to actually be in a job environment, in like a actual like corporate environment, and being a civilian. So like a lot of that was literally like a big learning experience, just because I was like this is all new to me, because I got to dress a certain way and like eat a certain way and like do all this in the military. And then once I come out, it's like a free man. And it's like, what do I do? So yeah, that was a big part. And then I don't know. I mean, probably the two biggest ones in my life.
Yeah, those are big moments.
Yeah.
Like one, moving away, and then kind of being uncomfortable, because you have to kind of figure out who you are in the real world, and like what is the real world to you. But on the second side of that is like when you got out, there's a lot of structure that the military provides you. There's a lot of support the military provides you. So like I work in an area that has a lot of Marines, and I actually just interviewed a Marine today, and he said that was one of the biggest things. Is like he was saying, he's like, I have a chow hall. I have a place I could lay my head. Like I always have a check coming in twice a month, as long as I don't do anything crazy and I'm in the military. Like
Yeah.
I kind of have that support system that even if some people thrive in that environment, some people don't. So going back into the real, like not the real world, but transitioning into the civilian world, to where it's like some of those safety nets
Are gone.
are kind of gone again.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at big life-changing moments, I think moving away is huge.
Yeah.
And I think it's, again, eliminating some support systems. As you know, every job interview I put people through, there's two questions I ask.
Yeah.
The first question is, if you had an area of opportunity in your life, what's the biggest? It could be an insecurity you have or something you want to get better at. And then they kind of answer that one. And then on the opposite end of that, if there was something you were most proud of in your life, what would it be? Over 50% of the people in that interview process answer that question. Like, the thing they're most proud of is getting away from home. And because they can see and realize the amount of development, the amount of growth that they have as an individual, once they get away from their friends, their social circle, their support system, the safety net of having a parent who could like help you out. And it's like they have to get uncomfortable and figure out, again, where do they fit in the world? Where do they fit in a social circle? Where do they fit in kind of like the pecking order? And then if they don't like that, change it, right?
Yeah.
So they like not having someone to rely on, not having someone to pay your bills. Or even if they do, like you can even talk about like the wealthy individual who has their parent pay for their schooling and move across the country. Like they're still going to have learning experiences from that, because
for sure.
you're not in your comfort zone.
Yeah, 100%. And I definitely agree. Like moving away and getting away from like the norm, and getting away from your parents, and getting away from like your support system is definitely one of the easiest ways to grow. Because like there's some people that I know that are like constantly like, I don't know, they're like, it's weird to say, but like they still have those support systems, and it almost like makes them immature, or like it almost makes them like, I don't know, like a step backwards from like me or you, just because I'm like, you don't have that life experience. And it's like, I can see it, and I can see it in your demeanor and how you carry yourself. And it's like, Like you never had to worry about if you were going to pay your rent. Like that's a fucking life experience, and like if you never had that experience, you'll never understand like how stressful that shit can be. Like if you ever had to worry about if you can buy groceries this weekend, or if you ever had to worry about like if you could pay your rent this weekend or pay your car bill, it's like if you don't have that stress under you, like I'm definitely light years ahead of you. Like,
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, yeah, you have a different perspective on consequences, like cause and effect. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
it's if I do this, this will happen, and then like say you don't have money to pay for those bills, it's like, yo, you got someone putting a notice on your door, like
Facts.
to get out. You're like, light bulb just goes off in your body to like never let that happen again, right? And then what am I gonna do to get out of this now? So I guess one, it helps you understand long-term consequences. But also, too, it can even create, like, more resourcefulness in an individual because when you're faced with some stressful situations and it's, like, fight or flight. Like, it's a real thing.
No, yeah, for sure. It's definitely fight or flight. And then, obviously, like, getting out, like, the military does a great job with, like, supporting you and, like, supporting you outside of, like, once you get out. And there's, like, two different people. There's the people that take that, like, opportunity and that, like, learning experience that the military gives you to get, like, a steady like foot out the door, and then there's the people that just like run out the door and don't like walk. So it's like you can take it how you want, and then again like there's like a lot of programs in place like to help veterans like get on their feet and get like, because they know it's a hard transition out, because like realistically it's I don't know, it's like it's almost like the same thing from like leaving your parents' place. Like you don't have to worry about rent. You don't have to worry about food. You don't have to like really worry about a car payment, because like if you really need a car, like you don't really need a car because you got homies that have cars in the military, and it's like you don't have to worry about utilities. Like you really just got to worry about your phone and internet, and then maybe your car. So it's like there's obviously like kind of like a similarity between the two, just because it's like you are cutting off both like support systems, and then there's obviously like stuff in place to help like veterans do that, because it is a hard transition. But the only difference between it is like usually like when people leave like their parents' place, they're like 16 or they're like 18 to like 19 or like 20, like they're around that age. So it's like, all right, they really don't have to like have their life together. They're either just going straight to college.
The expectation is different.
The expectation is completely different. Versus like I'm getting out of the military at like 25 or 28 or 30, like depending on like when I'm getting out, and it's like now the expectations like way different. Like
you need to have
like,
your life together.
Exactly, you're like 5 steps behind everyone because everyone's done the 4 years of college. Like while you're doing 4 years of military, people are already graduating with their bachelors and shit. And it's like you're steps behind, and it's like you got to catch up and figure out like what you're gonna do with your life and what job you're gonna get and like where you're gonna go from there. And it's like cool, like what hit the ground running, versus like if you're leaving your parents at like 18, 19, 20, it's like, okay, I can start off walking slow and then I can get to running later down the road. So
yeah, and definitely the way that you feel that other people kind of see you, and the way you portray yourself is also important to people. So sometimes it's like coming out of a transition like that, I can imagine people feeling all this immense pressure rather than the 18-year-old who has to figure it out on his own. Then the 24-year-old getting out of the military, he's like, I've got 1,000 things I need to do like yesterday.
yeah.
So, but definitely, I think that's huge, even for our civilian, like myself, no military background. I didn't even move super far. I just moved from southeast, SoCal to more North County area.
Yeah.
About an hour from where I used to live, and just not having the same relationships and going to school in a different area. It was huge.
Yeah.
There's different social circles. You got a chance to, again, feel uncomfortable meeting new people. Like you have to use that skill set again of like communicating.
Literally.
You can't rely on the same comfortable conversations.
Yeah.
And then to your point, like moving out, this place is not cheap.
Oh,
But,
bro.
and, figuring out what's college for me or for not. So I think two of the biggest things that made me change a lot as a person was, one, obviously moving from my hometown out of my hometown. And then, again, just seeing the difference that made from the people who stayed there to what you said, like immaturity, or people who are still doing similar things that they were doing then. There wasn't a lot of growth.
Yeah.
Versus not even just me, but other people I saw leave. And then even if they decided to come back, they're doing tremendously better if I had to, if I had the study for it.
Yeah.
Like night and day difference.
100%.
Another big thing that changed my life, I think, was working with general population in sales. That changed my perspective on how I interact with others. And then also my ACL injury. Like, I feel like I took so many activities and things for granted when I had the freedom to do whatever I wanted. Like, I'm pain-free now, right? But, like, I still want to say pain-free. Like, there were no injuries. There was no repercussions. And, again, it's like when you do something that has a cause and a consequence, you're like, well, I'm never doing that again. Yeah. So it's like now I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Like, there's a high risk of injury on this little reward of backflipping off this curb, like whatever that is. I'm like, nah, ain't worth it for me, bro.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, for you, like, one, sales definitely is another experience. Like, I've never been in sales, so then, like, right when I got thrown into a sales role, like, it was definitely a learning curve, and, like, understanding, like, how to communicate and, like, talk to people and, like, how to sell was for sure, like, it's a skill for sure. Like, a lot of people don't have that skill set to, like, talk to people and be, like, personable. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's hard because, like, you can learn how to do stuff, but then there's, like, it's hard to learn sales. Like, you have to be naturally, like,
you can't have a natural, like, predisposition, I guess, to sales. A natural, like, skill set.
Yeah, I feel like you have to be personable to be in sales. Like, if you're not personable, like, I feel like it doesn't go as far. Yeah. Not personable, but you gotta have, I don't know.
Like, you could learn it to a degree on how to, like, socialize, but there are people, like, there's a ceiling, right? Yeah. But there are people who just, like, are naturally, like, again, when we talk about drivers and trainers, like, someone walks in the room and they could read everybody in the room, but they also light it up with all this energy, and, like, you just feel like, oh, I could talk to this person.
There's definitely an it factor for everyone in sales. And you got to make sure you have that it factor whenever you are in sales, because the people that don't have it factors, that's what sets you apart from good salesmen and bad salesmen, or good salesmen and mediocre salesmen.
And something I tell a lot of people who ask, like, hey, should I get in sales? I tell them, you're probably going to learn more about yourself than anything else when it comes to sales, because the sales is like the art of effective communicating. Mm-hmm. It's going to help you in everything. It's going to help you when you have arguments with your spouses. It's going to help you when you're interviewing. It's going to help you when you're dating and, like, hitting on people. Because, again, it's just effective communicating. It's understanding who am I, what do I have, who is this person, what are they doing, who are they, what are they looking for.
It's literally just like, how can I get you to basically like me, or I don't know. Now I like. How can you, I don't know,
at least understand or, like, not be wary of me. So if we're breaking it down, like, me and my significant other having, like, an argument, like, before, if I was arguing with somebody before sales, it's like we wouldn't see each other eye to eye. Like, there's no way I could understand their side. They don't understand my side, even if we both think we're, like, right. And eventually somebody just gets tired of the argument, right? And then it's like, well, fine, whatever, you win. But, like, even sales has dramatically changed that, because it's now no one's looking to win. I'm looking to have you understand my perspective. I don't care if you think I'm right, but throughout the art of communicating, we're at least going to understand each other's perspective of the situation.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing in sales that I learned was, like, one, how to take no for an answer and, like, be able to, like, get shot down. Mm-hmm. Because there's sales, bro, you gonna learn how to overcome objections every time, and you're gonna learn how to take 6-7 no's before you get a yes. So I think I'm telling you, I feel like one, like, being rejected was, like, the biggest thing that I learned from sales, like, how to deal with rejection. Like, I've been rejected before, but, like, rejected on a daily, like, that's completely different. Like, you getting rejected, like, maybe, like, once a month whenever you go out, or, like, twice a week twice a month whenever you go out. It's completely different from getting rejected 5 times a day. Like, that humbles you, and, like, you understand, like, how to overcome that, and, like, how to continuously have confidence and learn from it. So, like, one, it boosted my confidence, like crazy. Like, I can communicate and, like, talk to anyone, like, legitimate. Like, of course, like, I still have, like, my biased opinion on, like, how to act and how to be in certain environments. So sometimes it may seem like I don't want to talk to people, but again, that's just me being reserved. Like, kind of how we talked about on that last episode. It's like, it's just me being reserved until I can figure out, like, where we are as people in this, like, this room right now. So I'm like, I'm just reading the room. But again, like, I got that from sales, learning how to read the room and, like, learning how to, like, mirror people. So, like, again, like, That's another like sales tactic that I learned.
Yeah, no, it's huge. I mean, having that ability to communicate with people, understand where you play a part, where they play a part, but and then learn what you said, being able to like learn from it, take the no, the resiliency. It's if you hear all the motivational speakers, I think it might have even been in a Rocky movie, but it's not about like how hard you can get hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and then keep moving forward. Like you're gonna get knocked down. Like get knocked down 7 times, get up 8.
Come on, come on, Rocky.
But like
there is no tomorrow.
everyone's heard it, right? But for real though, because life is tough. I don't care who you are. Life is tough. It's going to wake you up one day, and it's how do you respond and how do you react. And again, it's like when we're talking about life experiences and how have you grown, like that happens on a daily basis in sales. As long as you have the right mindset. Yeah. Because you could take no and be like, oh my no. It's like, what are you going to do if you want to start your own business? And like one investor's like, no, I'm not going to choose your product. It's like, oh no, this failed. I can't do it. It's like, no, you reevaluate, you look at it, you readjust, and you get back after it again.
Yeah. And I think sales also kind of like helped me understand like my own like finances and figure out like how I am spending as a person, because one, like I'm a salesperson, and then also you have to put your mind as a consumer. So that kind of like opened my door and like being perspective on like, dang, I really am spending like $400 on like fucking on like going out to eat every month. And then being in that perspective, you're like, oh damn, like, oh shit, like I really didn't think about that. So that kind of helped me understand like how my finances are and like how to budget and like really understand like where I'm actually placing my money. Yeah. Because you couldn't be like that person that gets out of the military and it's like, yo, like I get a paycheck every week and I'm gonna spend that paycheck every week.
On a big Dodge Charger with some high APR.
With the fucking 30 APR, bro. So it's like you could be that person and be like, yo, like I got a paycheck every week and I'm going to spend this paycheck every week. Or you could be that person that actually budgets and like sets money aside and like learns how to actually be like financially like steady or like sturdy kind of. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just tell me kind of like, since we're talking about finances, tell me like how you get into that or like how you learned how to actually control your finances.
Yeah. Since you bring it up, and how you kind of brought it up is making decisions and decision making. It really comes down to, I think, like instant gratification and delayed gratification.
100%.
It's, do I need this now or do I want this later for myself? And you got to look at it. So short-term needs versus long-term wants. So one of the big things that opened my eyes is Harvard, I believe, I think there was a study back in like 1970s, but they recently did another one like 2020. So when you're looking at instant gratification, they had a group of kids from the age of 4.5 to 10 years old, and they'd put a marshmallow on their plate. And the person performing the study is, okay, I'm going to leave the room for 15 minutes. If I come back, I'll give you a second marshmallow. Or if a kid didn't like marshmallows, they used like a pretzel stick.
Yeah.
So of the kids that were able to delay their gratification, they didn't eat the marshmallow while they were gone, right?
Yeah.
And the person came back and gave them a second marshmallow. They did a 10-year like long-term study on them to see where they were at in their life. Mm-hmm. The kids who were able to wait for the second marshmallow had higher SAT scores. They had like higher overall grade GPAs. The thing that blows my mind is they had lower BMIs. They had lower body fat percentages. So when you talk about finance, so often is it like if you look at lifestyle creep, so it's like every time I make more money, I just buy more things. And that's not going to get you anywhere. I think it was, they said 90% of America will spend around plus or minus 10% of their income. So it's like if you make $100,000, you're going to spend anywhere from $90,000 to $110,000. That's most of America. And that's why you look at rich people, they're the top 1%.
Wait, you said that most of America spends 10%?
Within 10% of their income. Within. So if I made, like that,
so they spend 90% of their income is what you're saying?
Anywhere from 90 to 110. So that's even people are overspending.
Yeah.
Like they're getting in debt, credit cards and stuff like
wild.
that.
Damn. Yeah, no, definitely got to learn how to budget and finance. So
no, yeah. And it's like, we all want the new Jordans. We all want to drive the BMW. We all want to drive the Audi S4. Now we make sacrifices in other parts of our lives to make that happen for us because we work hard. We want
rewards.
We want rewards. We want a dopamine hit. Like when I walk out to see my car, I want to put a smile on my face.
I get a dopamine hit every time I look at that motherfucker.
But we also have long-term goals for ourselves. And when we talk about like life having consequences and stuff, it's the same with finances. It's like I need to do this so that I can have this happen. Yeah. Like you can't buy a house just one day without a down, like, I mean, there are options without a down payment, but again, now you're putting yourself in that situation where you're spending this giant mortgage every month. And it's like, if you want the nicer car, like you can't eat all you want all the time. You can't go out every night on the weekends. And so you have to delay that gratification. Otherwise, you can't, like, it's saying you can't have your cake and eat it too. There's some people that can. Like, if you just want to out hustle and make as much as you want, which it's funny because one of the best pieces of advice that's also one of the worst pieces of advice, you know, shout out to this GM I had back in the day, but he was like, hey, you want to make more money? Go get a payment you can't afford. I was like, what? And he's like, he was like, it is terrible advice, but you'll figure it out. And guess what? Like, there's situations that when I was younger that I did do that, but guess what happened? I found a way to make enough money to make 100%. That not stress me out. Yeah, like, 100%. Definitely don't do this, but that just shows like you have the power to do it.
Oh yeah, for sure. What's crazy is I wish I could take a time machine and do the test on my own self and figure out what person I would be. Am I the person eating the marshmallow or am I the person waiting? Low-key, I feel like I'm eating the marshmallow.
Right away, you're like, I don't need a second one.
I was a little fat-ass little kid, so that's why. But I don't know. I don't know. That's crazy.
But that's a real thing. Like, we sell ourselves on, well, I don't need the second marshmallow.
Yeah.
But eventually, like 15 minutes later, you'd be like, I wish I had two marshmallows. Because what happens if you're in a room full of kids and then half the kids eat their marshmallow right away because that first one pops in and everyone's like, I want a marshmallow. But then like 3 of the kids like, I'm going to wait. And then they get their second marshmallow and then everyone's like, they got 2 marshmallows?
Yeah. I feel like if they would have did it in a room full of kids, I feel like that study would have been like dramatically skewed just because of like peer pressure and like obviously like what is it called when like you're kind of just going along with like the norm. I forgot what that means. I forgot what the word is.
Status quo?
Kind of. It's like a psychology word, like when you like walk into a room and like everyone's standing up, like you're naturally just gonna be standing up.
Social conditioning? I don't know.
Yeah, kind of like social conditioning. So in a sense, like if like all the kids started eating their marshmallows, like you're gonna be kind of like forced to eat your marshmallow. Mm-hmm. If you're not like as a kid, like I don't know if a lot of kids will have that self awareness and be like, nope, I'm having 2 marshmallows.
Yeah,
but it's like that elevator study that they did where they had everybody face the wrong way. One individual that walked in, he started facing that way.
Yeah. So like we did that in my psychology class, and I didn't like realize it, but like it was like everyone was sitting on their desk, and I was like, yo, like, am I supposed to be sitting on the desk? They're like, oh, like. No, and I was like, all right.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, I was like, all right, then I'm going to sit in the fucking chair then. Everyone's sitting on the desk, and then I'm like sitting in the chair, and I'm like, okay, so everyone's sitting on this goddamn desk. And I'm like, yo, am I supposed to be sitting on the desk? And he's like, it's up to you. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to just continue sitting in the fucking chair because I don't know what's going on.
But that's a real thing. That's kind of like, but that's life nowadays. Like, you have so much exposure to other people. Yeah. Like, they don't necessarily have to be in the room. Like, people see on social media everyone driving cars, and it's like, they're like, oh, I need to get that car then.
Bro, I love and hate social media just because it's such a great platform to, like, obviously get yourself out there and, like, promote yourself and, like, connect with people. But it's also such, like, a demeaning and, like, terrible platform as well. Like, because that can lead to so much, like, insecurities and, like, mental health. Like, people, like, constantly seeing, like, 20-year-olds or, like, barely turning 30-year-olds just being so successful and like doing that. It could either motivate you or it could demotivate you.
It's all about your willpower. What can you handle? How do you absorb it? Yeah. And what's your perception on it? Because the way I look at it a lot of times, like, sure, there's moments where I'm like, man, screw that kid. I wish I was him, blah, blah. Why can't that be me? But majority of the time, I truly look at it like, yo, all these people are doing this. Like, that's awesome. Like, I can do it too then. Like, I got to find a way. It's the same thing that I also compared to, you know, reverting back to the beginning of the show, is like moving out of my hometown was so powerful. Like I'm not going to lie, the area I lived in was a lower income area. Yeah. I didn't see a nice car coming down the street every day. I moved up, so to where I'm at now, I mean, North County, we'll call it, you know, San Diego. Yeah. Like, yo, I see a BMW, I see an Audi, I see a Porsche, like every 5 minutes. Yeah. Like, not even every day, like every 5. Yeah. So to like not to keep up with the Joneses, but it reaffirms like, or like the houses, some of the neighborhoods I go to now where I have, you know, so like social gatherings or know somebody in those areas, or even working, right? Some of the clubs me and you have worked in have been like in amazing areas. Yeah. And it's like this is what's possible. Like, this is, like, if you don't think this, and you don't have to be rich, right? But you're like, if this was the ceiling of your social surroundings as you know, when you grew up in, and now it's just really, there is no ceiling now. Like, anything is possible. So Instagram and social media can be the same thing. It's like, you can let it get you down, or you can, like, pump you up, and it's all your perception of it.
Yeah, it's definitely like your own perception for sure. Like, I mean, obviously, like when I see like people on like social media, I'm like not like over here like, damn, I wish that was me. What was me? More of like, damn, like I ain't shit. I ain't there yet. So like,
True.
So yeah, again, it's all about perception. Or it's like, again, like you could be like yourself, and it's like, hey, like I see these people, and it's like, oh yeah, I know it's possible, and I know there's different stuff to do and like different platforms I can grow in and like have residual incomes. Like it's all about residual incomes at the end of the day. Like you want more, like you want your money to work for you essentially. So it's like, and you'll notice like the people that don't like, I don't want to say ignorant to like finances, but like they just don't know as much.
They lack financial literacy.
Yeah, they lack financial literacy, and like they'll talk about like, oh yeah, like I'm thinking about going to get a house, and then I'm like, bro, you make less money than me. What you mean? And I'm like,
and you at the club more than me. So.
Yeah, and you spend more than me. So I'm like trying to figure out like, do you really understand like how much it costs to get a house? Because I'm like, if it was really that easy to get a house, then everyone would have fucking houses. Like if at the end of the day, everyone would have a house. It's like people aren't just living in apartments because they want to live in apartments. Like they would all have a house if it was that easy. So it's like people will come up like, yeah, I'm gonna go get a house, and I'm like, bro, you know your payment's going to be like $2,800, like, or like $3,100. Like, how are you going to pay for that? But you can't even pay for your rent right now, and it's $1,400.
But I do get a little excited when they mention it, because I'm like, oh, they're about to go learn though. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Because they're either going to learn like they have to change things in their lives to make it happen, or they'll decide that, oh, I'm not going to make these lifestyle changes, so I'm not going to have a house. But they're going to find out one of the two things.
Yeah.
So
and I always want to be the one to like crush their dreams, like not crush it, but I just want to be like, yo, like wake up, my boy. Like you really got to do your research first before like you just dive headfirst into stuff like that.
Yeah. And to everybody who's listening, obviously we live in a little different demographic. The average home sales price that was in our city,
$700K right now.
No, well, San Diego City.
Oh, City.
Was
San Diego.
They said $1 million for a standalone like 3-bedroom home.
Yeah, I mean if you're going to San Diego,
yeah.
But
I mean we're in the county.
Yeah, San Diego County, it's like $1 million. I mean, depending on where you're at in San Diego, like northern to like down, it's probably averages like 700.
But that's also when they broke it down, it was a standalone like 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, which is like your typical house. Like if you're talking townhomes, maybe like a duplex, like stuff like that, changed the price a lot.
100%.
So again, we're talking about people who come up to us like, oh, I'm gonna buy a house in that type of community. Where, you know, obviously some of you guys are gonna live in places where a house is $200,000, which is a much easier purchase. Obviously, we know cost of living is different in those areas, but again, it's a little different.
For sure. I feel like I'm on an episode of Seinfeld.
It all depends. And when, like, I guess when you talk about finances again, like it is about, a lot of it is residual income. So you have to make short-term sacrifices to put money somewhere where it doesn't instantly make you feel good. But in the long run, that money is going to, like, the word that they like to use is start working for you.
Yeah. 100%.
Rather than you working for your money, which is not bad. Like, sure, like go get a salary, have a job and work that 9 to 5. Like some people are like, oh, I'll never work a 9 to 5, but use that money to start paying for the other things that are going to be your assets to give you residual income. Yeah. And if you ever plan on retiring,
we'll get into that later.
That's another show, but Jesus.
But yeah, I mean, residual income and understanding like where your money is going is super important. Can you like break down on like, we're not going to go super deep into your finances on like how much you spend.
Scary.
But more like, you know, you have a lot of set amount of money you spend, correct? I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, and then do you do that based off of like what your monthly income is? Do you do that based off of what your annual income is? Do you do that based off like your needs of living? Like how do you break that down?
That's tough, right? Because you have big picture and then small picture things. I think my bigger picture things probably go a little closer off my annual income, right? Like planning and goal setting. When you look at the more day in the life, like week by week stuff, that probably goes more off of like my paychecks, right? So, but also that like blends into it. And then me and you, we also have bonus structures.
Yeah.
One thing is never depend on a bonus.
Oh, for
Jesus.
Sure.
Like I have people who work commission jobs. Like I work in a job where I do have a bonus. Right now it's quarterly. And it's like if I get that thing, which the cool thing is our compensation plan right now, I'm not guaranteed it, but it's relatively easy to get.
Yeah.
But even with that being said, like there's a 90% chance I'm going to get my bonus. Like I'm not calculating that in to like my expenses. Sure. So I take a look at my monthly expenses if we're looking like more day in the life type stuff. And I try to not spend over a certain percentage of that. Now it's up to everybody what their saving ratio is, what their spending ratio is, and then what their cost of living ratio is to like want to put that into different buckets. But like I probably have a bigger cost of living bucket than I want right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I would love for that to be somewhere at 50% bucket. Like 50% of the money I make every month is a cost of living. So that's rent, bills, gas, utilities, food, phone, like that's cost of living bucket. And then you should have like, and obviously everybody needs, before you even start like truly making your money work for you, I think you need to have an emergency fund. Now, whatever that amount to you is going to depend on other things. So you need to have an emergency fund just in case something happens.
What's a good amount, you think?
That's going to be different for everybody. So
a generic one that you can pick.
So pre-COVID, I told myself like a month of cost of living was fine. Bro, I honestly think your emergency fund needs to be anywhere between 3 to 6 months now.
Honestly, so
of salary.
During COVID, like again, we were in the same boat because we weren't getting paid.
So we worked in the gym industry. Gym industry was closed for like off and on, but total like 7 months, and it was like 3 and 5 months at a time or something like that. And we both had a problem with the unemployment. EDD, whatever the hell they're called, verifying our identity just because they had so many cases, right?
100%.
And so we went almost, we'd already been back to work for almost 6 months. So it had almost been over a year before they paid us for the time we were working.
Yours was longer than mine, but mine was for sure like close to like, I know for the time amount that I wasn't working, it was like 7 months that I did not get paid.
Yeah.
And then, so luckily I had a savings, which got blown through. So, that's for sure a reality check where I was like, I thought just like you, I thought like 3 months was a comfortable cushion and like savings to have for like life expenses, just in case of that. No.
Yeah.
You never know. Because I mean, it's rare when you'll have to go through that, but yes, 3 to 6 months is like
the minimum.
The minimum for sure. Like that works with my lifestyle and like works with me. Because again, like you said, like everyone has different expenses and different lifestyles. So like, but for sure the 3 months was, boy, I was dragging that.
Yeah, because I thought I was in a pretty good spot before COVID. So my cost of living expenses were probably south of 50% of my income. My emergency fund was what I thought was where I needed it, was about a month and a half before I could start making the rest of my money go work for me, make assets and stuff like that, stocks, whatnot. And then you have all your fund money, right? But yeah, that was a big wake-up call. It's like 3 to 6 months is the new minimum. Like if you don't, like literally 3 months still scares me like a little bit because you never know what happens, right?
100%.
And I have a decent sized salary. So it's like 3 months of that is still a decent chunk of money.
Yeah.
So, but have that. And then after you have your emergency fund, now that's where you start talking about your assets again. So money that works for you, whether you want to be in smaller investments, you want to be in bigger investments, you want to co-own businesses.
Yeah.
Stock market, 401k, maybe 401k being a safer one for people who kind of don't know what's happening. But again, maybe get like a mutual fund and stuff like that. And then you could have riskier investments, and then you have your fund money.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess those are the buckets I would break it in. So, right. So 50% cost of living, like expenditure, emergency fund. I'd say at least 10% like investment stuff. So somewhere around here now, you've got like 70% of your monthly cost of living. So then you have like another 20% like, now this is where you could be your risky investment 20% and your fund money's 10% of your monthly income, or like 10% right? So 10% could be your risky investment, and then 20% could be your fund, like travel and stuff like that.
Yeah. So me, I'm one of those people that for sure like wants to have fun and like wants to buy shit just because obviously if I have the money, I want to go buy shit. But again, like I plan my finances accordingly. So like, again, my spending, like my monthly allotment for obviously like living and my like what do we call it? The 50%.
Cost of living, expenses.
Yeah, it's usually 50%. And then usually like my savings and the rest of it is like 20%. And then the other like 30% is usually, again, like I like to live like how I want to live. So 20% is spending money, and then the other 10% is investment money. So, but usually the spending money goes into investment money. So it literally like kind of like trickles over sometimes. So,
yeah.
But again, like I'm one of those people that like want to go buy shit. So that's why I kind of like set my finances accordingly for me to actually like live how I want to be. And what's crazy is like, I was reading like something earlier, and it was saying like the people, like the average like savings account for like someone in our age is ridiculous. It's like
they were saying majority of America, and then they broke. I was cool. I think I read maybe the same thing because they broke it into different generations: Boomer, Gen Z, Millennial, blah blah blah. And it was like people in our generation have like less than $3,000 or something like that.
It was, I think for us, it was like $1,000.
Yeah, I think it was $1,000 because they were like, you don't have $1,000? Like, what happens if all 4 of your tires go flat? Like,
bro,
you don't got enough money to fix all your tires? Like,
I saw the $1,000 and I was like, God damn, like I'm doing better than I thought. And then it's like, it was like 30 to like 40 was like maybe like 5 to 6. And then like 40 and above was like hitting that like retirement fund, but it was still like 40, like 30 to 40.
Yeah, I think it was, I think maybe them, they might even crack like $100,000.
It was something obviously like higher, but I know from like 20 to like 20 to 30 was like $1,000. And I was like, I was like, bro, y'all must be still like living at the crib or something like that. Cause $1,000, bro.
If you living at the crib,
you should be saving more.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what you would think. But there's people out there, again, it's vice versa. It's 10% is, scheduled for like monthly, like your monthly income. I mean, your monthly like cost of living, and then the other shit is the other 90 is spending money. So it's like, and then that the other like 80 is spending money, and the other 10 is saving. So it's like, yeah, it's the other vice versa, the other way around. So like, you never know.
Yeah, and it adds up quick. So you got to be aware of that. And I think that's why I break it up into like, well, there's big picture and then small picture, and it's like, you gotta look at that, because even if like the average, what I saw recently, the average studio to 1-bedroom apartment rent in our area was $2,100 a month to $2,300 a month. And it's like, that's just one bill. And if you're trying to stay south of that 50%, you need to make at least $4,000 a month.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You need to make a $50,000 a year salary to pay rent here.
And that's not including the other expenses that you have.
No, like, gas, food, electric, all that stuff. That's just rent.
Yeah, that's just rent. So you got to add another whole $1,500 on top of that.
Yeah.
For just like utilities and car payments and phone payments and groceries. Like you're looking at like $3,000 or like $3,500 in just like rent and utilities and like being able to live and not having savings and spending money. So like realistically, you need to make close to like $7,000 a month.
Yeah. And you have to, and like if you don't make that right now, then you just have to reevaluate the other buckets.
Exactly. You just got to reevaluate either. One, I got to make more money,
which is not a bad answer.
Yeah, which isn't a bad answer. Or it's I need to cut back.
Yeah,
or it's both. Like I said, like if you're $2,100 in rent and you're making $3,000 or like $5,000, like you got to again reevaluate. Can I afford this $2,100? Do I got to go back down to like a $1,000, like living in a room to rent, or do I just find a way to make more money?
Yeah.
So. It seems as simple as that, but
it's simple. It's not easy.
Exactly. It's simple. It's not easy though. But yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah. So making more money is not a bad answer. Hustle.
Damn it. The only controller pillar of success.
But I think with that,
5-minute fitness tip.
You know what time it is.
Yeah.
You didn't add that to the soundboard?
No, not yet.
Everybody, we're going to take a second to just shame our producer. No,
I honestly don't know why we have him.
Just kidding. Nah, it wouldn't happen without the man behind the curtain.
I don't know. I don't like the man behind anything. So
if you could soundbite like the scream, like, after we say that.
The man behind the mirror, I just thought of like some weirdo that like owns like a hotel and then just has like a two-way mirror that he just stares at people. Like that's what.
That's pretty bad.
That's what I think of the man behind the mirror. I'm like,
I think a cool thing to talk about maybe is because something you were talking about earlier, being in the fitness space. A lot of people will go to some of the best looking people. They're like, hey, you look good. You got a six pack. You got some bicep veins.
Do you want to know what the key is?
Yeah.
I eat every 2 hours on the dot for 8 consecutive days.
And so they just say some ridiculous things. And a lot of it's bro science. It's what the last fit person that they talked to did. And the biggest thing is a lot of these people are pretty intense. They work pretty hard. They hustle a lot. And a lot of the times consistency can beat science, right? And it's like they'll do something and they see a result and they're like, this is why it worked.
This is it.
Yeah, so
you have to eat every day on 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m.
Yeah, and that doesn't work for everybody.
A minute later, and
give up.
Fat.
Give up. Start tomorrow.
That literally like pisses me off when I hear people say that. I'm like, bro, stop it.
So today's fitness tip is meal timing.
It's meal timing, and if it's a real thing, and like if you should do it, like realistically, so like a lot of people think like meal timing is one, like speeds up your metabolism and like you're burning more body fat because you're constantly eating. Like, bro, it's all about caloric deficit. Like if you want to lose weight, you have to be in a caloric deficit. It doesn't matter if you eat fucking at 2 p.m. and then 4 p.m. and then 6 p.m. again. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's all about a caloric deficit. If there's people that do intermittent fasting and still lose weight because they're eating from like 4 p.m. to like 8 p.m. That's like their window they got to eat at. And it's like, okay, like as long as you're in that caloric deficit, you're going to lose weight regardless. Or there's the people that are in that intermittent fasting or like doing that 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. And they're doing that. They're like, oh, yeah, well, I'm eating at 4 p.m. and you're eating a fucking slice of pizza. And then at 6 p.m., you're eating a burger and like some fries. And then you're like, oh, well, it's not working. Fucking no shit, it's not working. You're eating
trash.
You're eating trash. All you're getting is high cholesterol at 2 p.m., 4 p.m., and 6 p.m.
Yeah.
That's literally all it is.
It's caloric intake, energy expenditure. What are you putting out more energy than you're taking in? Or are you not? It's really that simple. But I know different people need different plans because different things work for them. Like intermittent fasting is not going to work for you. Eating every 2 hours might be good for you because where this came from is like bodybuilders telling people like, oh, you trying to get bigger, you got to break it up into meals. And it makes sense because a bodybuilder's eating 4,000, 5,000 calories. If you broke that up into 2 meals, he's going to struggle to eat that much food. 2,500
calories per meal, bro. Yeah. I'd throw up.
Yeah, and it's like, and they tell people to lose weight. And a part of this came from a study a while back where it comes from thermal dynamics.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much the study of how your body breaks down energy and uses it when you eat. And it's every time they tracked it and somebody consumed food, there was a thermal effect in the body. They would see the metabolism spike for a period of time. So they're like, oh, eat more often, smaller amounts. You'll spike it more often. Your metabolism will spike. You'll lose more weight.
Yeah.
And I understand the thought behind that.
Yeah.
But it's the same on the other way around. So if you had a bigger meal, it's going to create a larger spike when it comes to your metabolism. If you had to break it down, it's kind of like a pond, a big body of water, and I'm skipping rocks. So if I threw 5 pebbles in there, I'm going to create small ripples. There's going to be ripples because I'm throwing rocks in there, but they're going to be small, and then after like 3 waves, they go away. Now, if I took this boulder and I threw it in the lake, it's going to create giant splash that's going to last longer and create more ripples over the body of water. That's your small meal versus big meals. Now, the overall energy that is being, put out through your metabolism is almost identical. Like literally we're splitting hairs in the difference of thermal energy that got produced during that time period, where it was so much more important if you just focus on the actual calories out and the amount of energy you're spending throughout your workout.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, if you could do both, great. Good for you.
Yeah.
If you're eating 2 p.m., 6 p.m., 4 p.m. and
all this bro science.
Bro, get out of the read a book, motherfucker.
No.
Get out of the gym, read a book.
Like I appreciate it. And it's like obviously these people are in shape for a reason. But again, just think about it. Like where did that come from? Why does that make sense? And then do what works for you. Whether it if you like fasting because you like just eating when you get home after work and you're able to fend off your cravings throughout the day, perfect. Do not let it be the end all be all. Just like meal timing. If you're like, well, shoot, I didn't pack all 6 of my Tupperware, and don't you dare come to me at my gym and ask to use my microwave after your workout in my break room.
First of all, you nasty for bringing your food in my gym. That's disgusting.
It's been 2 hours. Can I use your break?
And you kept that in the locker room? How dare you? You disgusting thing. Yeah. First of all, and what's crazy is I used to be that person that used to eat every 2 hours because I was that person that thought the metabolism was getting sped up, and I was like, I actually deep dived into it, and I'm like, that shit makes no there's so many fad diets and so many things out there that will tell you they'll tell you that skipping breakfast every morning is the key for weight loss. Bro, you eat breakfast every day. Regardless if you skip it or not, breakfast is literally breaking your fast. So anything that you eat literally after you wake up, after that full 8 hours of sleep, it doesn't matter if you eat at 12 o'clock. That's still technically considered breakfast.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and there's some science behind all this stuff, but it's there's full articles, and it's they take one sentence out of one study, and they're like, this is it. This is the new thing. Put it on Instagram. Put it on social media. Blow it up. But, again, it's calories out, calories in. How does that affect your body? I think I was reading another study. It was a 7-month-long study where they compared the effects of fasting intermittently versus multiple days.
Yeah.
Lowered calorie diets, and then I think it was the carnivore diet. And over a 7-month duration, none of them were superior to the other. As long as because they were all in a calorie deficit. So that's the key thing. All of them were in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
And at 7 months, they all had around the same benefits. Other people had different spikes and stuff during different time periods, but the way that they broke down glucose and all that stuff, the way that they broke down body fat was all similar because they were all in a calorie deficit. One was not necessarily superior.
Yeah. I mean, don't get it confused on not eating at a certain time. You definitely shouldn't eat right before you go to bed.
Well, because you're probably going to have cravings at that time too.
Yeah. So it's again, that's a time where again, your body's going through a different state, you're sleeping, and a whole bunch of stuff happens. So it's obviously there's different times to eat and
will you get fat from that? Probably not if you're still in a calorie deficit.
If you're still in a calorie deficit, it probably won't matter. But again, I think maybe gut digestive health and stuff like that gets played into effect. So
big rocks, little rocks, things that are really important in your program, things that aren't that important in your program. If you're eating 200 calories in surplus, that's going to affect you more than eating before bed does.
Yeah,
and
for
it's
sure.
Or eating right before a workout, because they say your body can't focus on digesting. It's because it's focusing on the workout. Just focus on how much you're getting throughout the day. And
I mean, there's studies that say you should do that too.
Yeah.
Right before your workout. So it's I don't know. You just literally got to just find the correct study and just continue and do your research. But
unless you're a top level athlete where you need to shred that last 0.5% of body fat, just keep moving in the right direction.
What?
I think at the end of the day, everybody should find what works best for them.
Yeah. Damn.
I like the way he said it. So super simple, right?
The man behind the mirror speaks.
Spitting facts. So I think with that being said, that's it for us. I'm going to sign off. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for checking in on another episode of Hustle Huddle.
Did y'all want to help us out with the outro? Give us a quick applause? No? Okay. Quite this fucking time.
Again, Sean, can you tell them where they can find us?
First off, hustle, the only controllable pillar of success. Damn it. You can find us on Spotify, Instagram, Apple Music, YouTube. Not at your mama house because I moved to your auntie house. Tia!